directions, west, north, south. So metals, let's say gold and silver and stone and wood. What do these? He talks about even us that our works of gold and silver are going to endure in some kind of fire, and our works of hay, wood, and stubble are going to burn up. What is talking about? What are the physics of going on? It's talking about directional, west, north, south, east, and west, up and down, height and depth. There's more to depth, but directional. Okay, so because this you got to have language to communicate to your program, how you're going to construct this thing. Justice. This is where a lot of this is, the attributes of God. Mercy, glory, justice. One verse is, and God says, he gets so mad at the Israelites. He says, I am so sick of your rituals. You've just ritualized this thing. You've lost the concepts and the application, the salt that I want you to be, to promote mercy and justice in the earth. We have a job like this little Malayla, this little 13-year-old girl, 14 at the time, taking on the Taliban. I cannot even imagine the courage. We can't even get half our kids, quote unquote Christian kids, to go into their secular public high schools and say, I'm a Christian, I'm proud of, or Yahweh is my God. I mean, it's amazing. Okay, sorry. Justice, so you have the attributes of God, you have color. This is when it talks about the New Jerusalem and all the different colors and the sapphire and the gold. These are representing chemical elements of something that's going on. You have planets. This is a big one. I kept seeing, we know the days of the week. You got Mercury for Mars and Saturn for Saturday, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but it was. So I was seeing all this. I'm going, God, I know there's a communication going on here, and it's going right over my head. But he is so good. So this is a little quote. Here we have a row, which is marked, which is just the row I told you. And this is what the Kabbalists know. They've kept the information. Here we have a row, which is marked by its first main member, which establishes correspondence between the element, world direction, season. Oh, I forgot season. Winter, summer. Because these things have meaning, prophetic meaning. So if you don't understand why Jesus was cursing the fig tree that wasn't blooming in the right season, this is the whole point. So there's season, ethical quality, color, planet, principal organ of the body. Oh, I forgot lungs. Okay, because this is the whole thing. When, you see that famous Da Vinci thing, and he's got the head up here and the legs and the arms, and this is man. This whole thing, this is also broken down into the body parts of man. Okay, this is showing how the whole thing is synchronized and relates to each other. Okay, so then you get to show. So the lungs is one of the principal parts, and they say the breath is in the lungs, the ruach. And this is a part of the reason why Paul says, you've got to confess with your mouth, and you got to believe in your heart, okay? Because if these two are in sync, if your soul and your body are on the same page, you're going to produce fruit. If it's just in one of these categories, like if you got a good bunch of head knowledge, that sounds really good, but you have not got control of your body, your fleshly, forget it. It's not going to work, people. This is why cheap grace doesn't work. You must produce fruit. Your works and your faith have to work together to produce the fruit that's going to tell me that you're that you're a plantling of the Lord. Okay, so one of the aspects of this classification is the establishment of the correspondences between, now get this, homomorphic, micro, and macrocosm. Now, this is why I saw that too. It's just constantly going up and down, up and down. I mean, this thing, like wisdom, can just zoom to the most microcosm thing. Pure can go through everything, and then back up to the top, to the totality of the whole thing. I am going to get this little toy. Of those nesting boxes where, the one smaller one goes in the next size down, because that's exactly what it's talking about. That's exactly what's going on. Now, a lot of this knowledge and this understanding, let me go into quickly here. Let me just look at a couple of my notes here. Now, I want to say something about Abraham, because I'm not, as I study Kabbalah, and I'm reading the Sefer Yitzhar, and I'm reading some of these books, and I'm going to, reading the Zohar and stuff, Abraham, now it wasn't just Abraham's knowledge, because Adam, I wonder if I could get this quote. Where did I have this quote? Here, let me get you back in here, because it starts with Adam. This knowledge of wisdom and understanding, the Keturah, is what God breathed into Adam, okay? Here's another little snippet from the Dead Sea Scrolls, from one of the prayers. And I do think it's the biggest conspiracy on the planet, one of the worst. They will just answer to the Lord. How this knowledge has come back very fragmented to us. Remember, because I've said this, we're in a propaganda war. It's all a war and propaganda. Now, it says, remember, O Lord, that thou hast fashioned Adam, our father, the seed of the woman, in the likeness of thy glory. That's what he said. He made them male and female in his image. Or he made Adam, let's get this straight, he made Adam first, male and female in the image of God. And this is what he's referencing before he put Adam to sleep and took off half of his bone, took his soul life in the genetics and basically split it in half and made half the woman physically, Eve and Adam. Okay, so there's this whole first story, the first creation in Genesis, if you read close. Thou didst breathe into his nostrils, and with understanding and knowledge, and gave him understanding and knowledge, which is exactly what we're talking about here. Thou didst make him to rule over, and we know he was rule over the Garden of Eden that God planted, rule, which thou didst plant, the garden, and to walk in the land of glory, down here in glory. This is paradise. This is where the garden here, and in glory and in victory over all this, okay? He's at a higher level than this physical down here. And to walk in the land of glory, he guarded, and thou didst enjoin him not to stray, or to tell him, don't stray. I got boundaries around this thing. Do not stick with your own kind. Reproduce after your own kind. That's what he told him. That isn't really what happened. And thou knowest what happened. And see, there's ... there's ... there's ... That means there was information lost or cut out or taken, whatever. Because the last part says, thy hand, man in the ways of, and I'm sure it's Cain, to fill the earth with violence and to shed innocent blood. Because Adam did not, and Eve did not stick with the original plan. Now, Abraham, I want to get this down to Abraham, because we just got to get a bigger understanding of this. Now, Abraham, because I want to tell you, this knowledge came with with Adam. This is the whole testimony of the writings of the righteous bloodline up until Abraham. Because what God did with Abraham was he just kicked up the game a whole notch. He created seed that just went out and multiplied exponentially. It's a numbers game in all of the earth. Abraham was fully aware of the magical and adulterous uses that can be developed from these mysteries. And the Talmud states that Abraham had a tract dealing with idolatry that consisted of 400 chapters. So don't tell me he wasn't warning people. I want to say this. Nothing is 100% pure. So even the Kabbalah that I'm reading today, or its practice amongst different, is pure, okay? Only up here when I can get back up to having wisdom and understanding, which God will lead me to. It's all in my mind. I'm just using the books, the text, the diagrams, everything, the creation. It says that everyone's going to be without excuse, even just because of the creation, if you never had any of these books or writings to try to figure this out. Abraham was fully aware. I'm not 100% sure, I just want to throw this out there, that in Revelation where it talks about those who are Jews, who say they are Jews but are not, but are really of the synagogue of Satan, I kind of wonder if there is a little nest egg of viperous type Jews that have used the Kabbalah in this way for magical and idolatrous uses. This is so deep. I can't go into, I'm just trying to whet your appetite, people. I mean, okay, so there is also Talmudic, I don't know, teaching that Abraham taught the mysteries, okay? And when you understand the story, especially from Jasher, and the whole idea with Lot, and when he went after when Lot was abducted by the kings, and Nimrod was in that mix, and what was going on, okay? There's a great writing that can be found. It's called The Writings of Abraham. One of the things that, going back to Malala, I was telling you about, who is from this Afghan tribes who trace their heritage back to the sons of Joseph. They didn't just travel, they brought their cattle and their sheep, but they brought their writings with them to a large extent. And these writings have infiltrated, again, into the cultures. And these cultures are still, again, hodgepodges of all sorts of other indigenous peoples and different peoples mixing in, okay? So you got a lot of mix there. But their writings have surfaced in many of the writings, okay? A lot of these people keep some Jewish practices that are just so Jewish. Like if a brother dies, he has to marry the wife to keep the seed alive, this kind of thing. That is just so Jewish, or Hebraic. There's so many things, other things I didn't mention that are in their culture that just connect the dots. Okay, I have to stick with this thought here. There's a book called The Writings of Abraham. It is not to be confused with the Book of Abraham that comes out of a Mormon tradition. But let me just read this. This is a beautiful work. You can just read it online. I just want to read you this because in chapter 19, there's just a couple of verses here. It says, Shem ruled in the city of Shalom. Because we get one verse in our Bible, but listen to it. Shem ruled in the city of Shalom, and he was, or the city of peace, because Jerusalem, city of peace, was called, and he was called Melchizedek. Melchizedek is the priesthood that God gave to Adam, okay? It's a different priesthood than the Levitical, and I've kind of been over that, but I'm not going to go into it, the whole thing. But Shem ruled in the city of Shalom and was called Melchizedek, for he reigned as king under his father Noah, and he was a priest of the Most High. Noah invested his son Shem with authority to rule as Prince of Peace, and Noah devoted his days to instructing his people after the order of the ancients. The ancients, Adam and Enoch. And I've done whole teachings on how, Noah was, I believe, 50 years old when Shem died. I mean, these people knew each other. There's that Abraham fellowshipped in the tents of Noah, okay, among his there's a Hebrew kibbutz or, whatever. But, okay, and his people dwelt in righteousness and worshiped the Lord their God and served him. They established the order of heaven among them, which another way and sought after the city of Enoch, or the city of God, and the Lord came among them and ministered to them, and those who sought for the gain of this world went out from among them, for they held all things common after the order of Enoch, and no man had above his neighbor. Now, this is so full of the migrations of the people groups, but you understand this was the story of Lot, who loved this world and went after and that was the whole story between him and Abraham, and didn't want to have things common. These writings, this knowledge has been kept alive in Judaish, sage, scribal enclaves. The Kabbalah has been kept for us. This wisdom, this understanding needs to come out and be taught. I didn't even get to half of it. I will do the other half next week. Anyways, I just want to give Yahweh Elohim all the glory. Bless you, the Lord keep you, bless you, and make his face to shine upon you. In his name, amen. Well, I said that's a wrap, but I guess they didn't cut it off.